Quincy Carrier, G. Bush, right here on the Ultimate Browns, talking a little bit about the Cowboys, talking a little bit about everything going on. Quincy, really quickly before we go, tell the people where you can find some of your material at, man.
YouTube.com/Quincy Carrier. You can go at Quincy Carrier on YouTube if anybody uses that function, or you can search Quincy Carrier Browns. I'll pop up there. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you notify so you don't miss nothing.
Guess what? His name is in the description. You probably pulled up on this video because you did put Quincy Carrier in there. And guess what? We're glad to have him on the Ultimate Browns. We got done talking about Deshaun Watson a little bit. Let's go to the other side of the football. Defense wins championships, or at least the old saying used to be. Right here, the Browns have one of the best defense, had one of the better defenses in the league, top 5 defense. Most people say number 1 defense in the league last year. When you look at what they were able to do, strength, weaknesses, all that good stuff, this year, last year gave up a few big plays. The big play hurt them a little bit. The defense on the road was a little difficult, and Myles Garrett has talked about that a little bit too. What do you make of the home road splits? Like, you know, the Browns had one of the best home field advantages, man. They started banging them trash cans and tinfoil, whatever they was doing. But when it was on the road a little bit, they struggled a little bit against some of these other teams. Do you think it was just matchup specific that they were playing good teams on the road? Or do you think there's something to be said for the woes of giving up bigger plays and making sure that they can bring some of those down on the road?
I think the story at the Browns on the road last year is just real simple. It's a combination of injuries and offensive turnovers. And then, as you mentioned, quality of opponent being higher that made for that gap. If you look at just the week 10 post splits, right, in the week 10 pre splits, the defense has that same gap there because they had some injuries happen on the defensive side, especially to the back end of that secondary. As you mentioned, the big plays became a big thing in the second half of the season. Well, it's no mistake you got younger safeties in there, that those things are going to happen, especially when you're playing as much man coverage as the Cleveland Browns do. It's kind of just showing you the importance of Ronnie McLeod and the importance of Juan Thornhill to stay healthy this year. So I think some of that dialogue is overblown. A lot of it was just Joe Flacco was turning that ball over a lot at the last part of the season. And then he also played a lot of the road games in the season. So that kind of inflated what the defensive numbers look like. And then another part of it is that you did play more quality opponents at the right time on the road than you did at home, right? Like you played Russ when he was playing his best football. You played Matt Stafford when he was playing his best football, and then you ran into CJ Stroud when he was playing his best football. So the quality of opponent was up there too. So I'm not too worried about if this defense can show up on the road, because I don't think it was exclusively the venue that was causing these issues. I think my concern is, can the offense turn down the turnovers, right? Running and passing. We focus a lot on the interceptions that they threw. They had 14 fumbles lost last year, which was 4th in the NFL. So, you know, you gotta take care of those turnovers, and then you got to stay healthy. If they take care of the turnovers, they stay healthy, we're going to be talking about the best defense in the NFL, road or home.
Well, you know, you take a look at one of the things that plagued them a little bit too. You just mentioned it. They play a lot of man coverage. I believe they're in the top 3 or 4 in playing man-to-man coverage. You know, they're really good at it. I would play a lot of man too. I mean, you got Martin Emerson, you got 3 of the top 35 corners, Greg Newsome, as well as Denzel Ward. So you really have an opportunity and an advantage, especially with Myles Garrett coming off the edge and a guy like JOK Rum in the middle of the field. Do you believe that there's that they'll do some more things in terms of match zones, more cover 3, different things like that, just to give up, you know, something to put on film and something for quarterbacks to think about a little bit?
Definitely for division opponents, I think they'll throw in some wrinkles, because like when you play the Cowboys, they're going to be familiar with you, but they're not going to be so familiar that when they see a look, they have like absolute confidence in what it's going to be, right? That's only going to be for your division opponents, where you can like fool them, where you're like, okay, we're going to show this look. They're going to think this is a man press look that we ran on them a lot last year. He's going to instantly check to it because we ran it 2-3 times in this game already. And then we're going to switch and have like a linebacker come underneath and cut off that hook that he wants to throw. So I think during division opponents, you'll see more of that. they're probably going to keep it more similar than different at the beginning of the season when you're playing NFC opponents and you're playing like one-off AFC opponents. So, they're probably just going to do their thing, right? Man coverage, we're going to get to you, see if you can handle Myles Garrett. Probably they want to have some counter punches in there just in case they get hit. And I think they've worked on that because they have the bases down for the defense. But yeah, I think they're going to go into this season thinking we have the basis. Like when we play a team we feel like we should beat, we know what we can do, our bread and butter, right? Mike Tyson always got that hook, right? That don't change no matter who he's playing. He's always going to peekaboo, and he's always going to try to get up close to you, and he's going to try to hit that hook. That part doesn't change. What does change, and what Mike ultimately struggled doing was when he did get hit in that round, and it did get into the 4th, 5th round. Do you have that counter punch? And I think that's what they're working on is for those situations. They might get it against the Cowboys. They might get it against Philly. And we might be able to see it before division play. But I think we're really going to feel what the difference is and what they're changing and what they're doing differently once they start playing those division opponents, because that's when it's really going to start to matter that you don't do the same stuff that you did last year. Because, we talk about the continuity in this division is insane. You just take we played 8 games, just regular season, amongst all like a whole season of football games between all of these AFC North teams that they've seen each other, the same coaches, the same personnel for the last 4 years. So if they got any tricks, they're going to wait until they play their division opponents to show any of those tricks.
And I think that's smart because the defense, like I said in the opening, is going to be ahead of the offense anyway. Week 1 usually is sloppy play. I think, we'll talk about it coming up here in a little bit when it comes to the game plan and stuff. I think the team who does not look the sloppiest, like, hey, there might be a situation where someone throws a screen and they take it to the house, or somebody has a really big play, but there's illegal man downfield, or there's holding, or illegal hands to the face. Things, little small, little dumb stuff like that really take points off the board. Whatever team does not do that in the sloppy first game, I think can come out and win this football game. But I expect the pass rushers and Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence, and as well as the guys on the side for the Cleveland Browns, obviously Myles Garrett. I expect those dudes to be pinning their ears back, and I think you have to be balanced in these type of games. I think the run game is key as well. Like, you can't be dropping back in obvious pass downs a whole bunch trying to make up some yards and points for penalties.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if the Dallas Cowboys can run the ball against the Cleveland Browns, because that's been a big question mark of theirs coming out of camp. I know they got Rico Dowley they think is going to be the starter coming out of there, and then Zeke and Dalvin Cook, right, I guess, are there to make you waste time in film because they're so well known that you're gonna have to watch the film. I feel like that's the strategy that they're doing. It's okay, you're gonna waste time watching Dalvin and Zeke film, and you're not gonna focus on Rico.
6 years ago, whoo, Dalvin Cook and Zeke in the same bed. Not so much today.
No, if you had them at Florida State and Ohio State, that would have been killer. Killer. But it ain't 2015 no more. So it's unfortunate, right? It's almost, which, by the way, going to make you feel old, almost 10 years since we've seen Zeke at Ohio State.
2015. You got to think about that. The Cavs won in 2016.
Yeah, we approaching 10 years on that, huh?
That's approaching 10. We all know there's some people out here in this industry living off their 2016 videos. You still you living off them 2016 takes.
That's crazy, man. 2016 is almost 10 years ago. Woo. That was a time, by the way, for those of y'all who are my age, the under 30, but almost 30 people, 2016, that was our, I don't know what year in the 2000s it was for you, but 2016, it was the year of the younger millennial, where it's Future was out. We had the best music going. The party was jumping. 2016 was, we going to see a lot of nostalgic stuff marketed to us as we get 40, 50 years old. And you know how for the last year, it was 1985, right? When Thriller came out, right? Or whatever year that was. They always go back to that year. Yeah, we gonna be sick of that 2016 nostalgia by the time we 60, boy.
2001 was it. You had 9/11. You had Nelly was jumping Air Force One. Mm-hmm. We had everything. We had Eminem.
Every jumbling of like 5 to 6 years of adults.
Yeah.
Like within 5 to 6 years of each other, they have that 1 year where it was the peak of the cultural zeitgeist at that moment. And in 2016, for a lot of people, like even people who ain't even Cavs fans, right? Like you just talk to them, boy, 2016 come up, you know, and a light shot in our eyes. We talk about Lil Uzi Vert's come up. Like,
shout out to Coach K and all of them over there, man. The City Girls, listen, Lil Yachty, all the littles was jumping back.
Oh yeah, all the cloud rap, man. That was look.
SoundCloud era. You probably never thought y'all would jump on the Ultimate Browns and you hear about SoundCloud rappers, but that's what you get.
Because look, we talked about Mos Def, and people were like, "Oh, we got a Mos Def reference in the video." They was very appreciative of it. Just know in 20 years, that's gonna be whenever somebody like, "Yeah, man, remember Lil Yachty?" Like somebody gonna be like, "Yeah, now that's that real.
That's the real." I would never thought I would ever hear most rappers be considered the real.